today about VMware and how to accelerate our IT infrastructure modernization with Google Cloud. So our speaker today is Vivek Lodha, a VM migration partnership at Google Cloud, and Ani Zekti, Google Cloud IT infrastructure tribe lead here at Devoteam. The agenda for today, we will start with the why transforming your VMware workloads to meet the adoption of generative AI. Then we'll talk a bit on how Google Cloud's infrastructure and Devoteam specialized expertise can help you. After that, we'll discuss a bit the migration, how to lift and shift from GCV and GCE or to modernize with a GKA or Cloud Run. And after that, we'll discuss a bit how Devoteam accelerators and how we'll show you a real customer story. In the end, we'll have time for a Q&A and discuss a bit about next steps. So just a few announcements. This meeting is being recorded and transcribed. I will send everyone the recording and the presentation after this webinar, and you can ask the questions in the chat or in the Q&A section on the Google Meet. At the end, we'll have time to answer them. And with that, I pass the word to Vivek. So welcome.
Thank you, Michelle. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Let me start. And I would like to start with the key drivers we are seeing essentially with our customers around migrations. And hopefully some of this will also resonate with all of you as well. The first thing which we are seeing in terms of adoption for cloud is one is using cloud as an on-demand capacity or additional capacity, which can be essentially for any peak demand usage or using cloud as a DR. And in fact, today we're talking. Anis later would talk about one of the customer where we had this DR use case and how we kind of leveraged Google Cloud for this use case. So that's the first one which we are seeing. The second one which we are seeing is around large data center exits, which is primarily driven by the need for customers to get away from the complexities of managing their infrastructure and doing away with the constant need of things like hardware refresh cycles, software refresh, and focusing essentially for our customers to matter what matters most for their business, and which is around innovation and priorities around that. In some of the cases, or what we've also seen is customers adopting cloud for getting their legacy systems to perform like modern cloud native apps. And that's the app modernization piece. But recently, and I think all of you would have heard this term, but essentially what we have seen is, specifically over the last 3 years, is there's a massive new wave around AI adoption. Now, whether you are a digital native or a massive enterprise, staying relevant today means adopting AI experiences. And the fastest way to do that is to move your data and workloads to cloud, because that's where the tools live, right? And that's the use case which we are seeing, which is driving more and more adoption of cloud today. But before we get onto the specifics of why Google Cloud or why Devoteam is kind of positioned to kind of help you in this journey, I want to start with the key drivers which we are seeing with our customers, and hopefully some of this essentially would also be drivers for you. What the first thing which we are seeing is essentially is for their on-prem infrastructure. We see there are essentially 4 pillars which are kind of limiting the adoption of AI. The first one is data silos. So what we see is essentially customers with data silos, whether they are using legacy storage systems, data spread across multiple locations. This makes real-time AI decision making kind of impossible, and that's something which is hindering the adoption of AI services. That's the first thing. Second thing which we see is around vendor lock-ins, and essentially when you are running on premises, you have a hardware cycle which you have to sweat. Adopting new technology or changing technology becomes difficult, and that's where doing all of this on cloud becomes easy, because it's difficult to change your technology stacks, easier to adopt kind of newer AI models or tools, right? So that's the second thing which we are seeing, which is kind of hindering the adoption, or challenge which we are seeing in the on-prem infrastructure, which is kind of hindering the adoption of AI. Lastly, what I want to talk about is around the massive increase in cost. Specifically, what this AI boom has done is that if you look at memory, the memory costs have kind of increased in 2x or 3x over the past couple of years, and that's where I think the cost case, the use case, or the TCO around staying on-prem has become kind of difficult to justify. And as we all know, like the IT costs, the IT budgets have not increased, right? But the massive cost around hardware, especially around memory and CPU, that have kind of driven customers, that have become a challenge. And that's where cloud can kind of come in and help, where customers can leverage cloud, and no need to kind of invest in hardware and all of that. Now, what I want to talk about is how do we bridge this gap between the need for enterprises to adopt AI, and also at the same time the legacy infrastructure, which is their on-prem infrastructure, which is kind of hindering that adoption, right? So how do we bridge that gap? And we will bridge this gap through a combination of Google's world-class products, whether it's AI infrastructure products or other services around software services, and also using Devoteam's specialized expertise around migration and leveraging some of this tooling. What we want to help you bring the rest of your infrastructure, whether it's VMware, your databases, your legacy apps, in the same room as AI workloads, so that they can finally talk to each other. But before we do that, I always like to start with this slide, which kind of highlights Google's strength in the industry. Partnering with Google Cloud provides a unique advantage through a vertically integrated AI optimized stack, right from agents to the specific chips, TPUs, which Google has. Unlike other hyperscalers, which often kind of assemble third-party components, Google Cloud offers a first-party cohesive ecosystem for your needs. I would not go into all of these kind of buckets, but kind of highlighting some of them. The first one is around custom silicon TPUs. Our TPUs are built for AI, offering superior performance per dollar compared to GPUs. That's one. And the second thing, which I think is again a massive differentiation for Google Cloud, or specifically Google, is the whole research and access to Gemini models. So customers get direct access to Google's frontier research, where when they adopt Google Cloud, the Gemini family of models provides industry-leading multimodal capabilities and massive context windows, allowing you to process years of data or entire code base in seconds. And last but not the least, I think, and this is again top of mind of every customer I talk to, is essentially security. Now, all of this, what you see on the slide, is wrapped in Google's global private fiber network and zero trust security model, which just got even stronger with our acquisition of Wiz. Now, your data remain yours. And again, this is something which I want to highlight. It is never used to train our foundation models, and it stays protected within your sovereign cloud boundaries, right? So, and that's again a differentiator, or a uniqueness which I want to highlight. Now, before kind of going into the VMware, specific VMware aspects of it, what I also wanted to kind of quickly highlight is the different options which are available for you as a customer on Google Cloud. So whether you're running VMware, whether you're running Nutanix, OpenShift, or you're running on other hyperscalers, there is an equivalent offering which you can leverage to migrate to Google Cloud to leverage the power of AI. For VMware specifically, again, this number has been there for a long time, roughly 80 to 85 million workloads, which are there on-prem. For them, there's an option around where customers can kind of bring their existing VMware license onto Google Cloud VMware Engine service, where they can reuse their existing investment. So that's the first path. But more and more, especially when I go and talk to customers, and I think probably you would also see that, is there are customers who are looking to move away from Broadcom, and that's where what we are doing is we are investing a lot in our native tooling and our native services. So there's an option where you can kind of take this VMware workload and directly go to a native service like Google Compute Engine or modernize with GKE. And there are tooling available for this, and we are going to talk about that later. For Nutanix, there is NC2. For OpenShift, there is Red Hat OpenShift Dedicated, right? So we have options. We kind of cover the whole different needs. Again, some of this on some of the parts on this slide is already covered, but I want to highlight maybe a couple of things, or maybe three things. The first thing is, and again, I'll take a reference of a customer which is ADT. What they were able to do is using Google Cloud VMware Engine, they were able to migrate their data centers to GCVE in a matter of 90 days, right? And with this migration, they saw a reduction in their OPEX by 76%. So there was a huge cost saving there. And the other thing which I want to highlight is when you move to Google Cloud, you are directly adjacent to some of the Google Cloud services around data AI like BigQuery, which this customer was able to do is when they migrated to GCVE, their database was still running on GCVE, but they leveraged BigQuery, and their data queries, they went from hours to seconds by just sitting in the same environment where you have direct access to all of these services, right? The second thing, which is again relevant to Google Cloud VMware Engine, is we have something called convertible cuts. So as a customer, if you kind of sign, let's say 1 year or a 3-year commitment on GCV, what we allow is we kind of allow that flexibility where you can kind of come to us after, let's say, a year and migrate that commitment to a native service, right? So that is essentially we kind of making it easier for you to modernize over time. The other thing is, in terms of options, I think I kind of already touched on it. There are multiple options for a VMware workload. It can go on GCV, it can go on to a native service as well. The rest of the items around AI and security, I think I kind of already touched on it. With this, what I'll do is I'll pass on the ball to Anis.
Thank you, Vivek. So let me quickly share 5 reasons why customers choose Devoteam. So the first one, we take care of your run activities with our managed services, so you can stay focused on your business. The second one, we combine local presence with global expertise. The third one, we deliver an end-to-end support from defining strategy to implementations. The fourth one, we can help and we help you to innovate faster by using the latest cloud and AI technologies. And in the end, finally, we accelerate your transformations with proven frameworks and ready-to-use solutions. So these are our key highlights. So today, Devoteam operate close to our customers across multiple regions, with a strong team of Google certified experts and a proven track record of project delivery. So that demonstrate our experience and capabilities. So in this slide, you see we propose today a lot of accelerators. So we support our customers end-to-end on their Google Cloud journey, from strategy, foundations, deployment, and ongoing operations. Good. So let me walk on a typical migration strategy we implement for our customers today. So this is our migration strategy for our customers. We usually start by migrating existing on-prem workloads to Google Cloud using automated tool. From there, we offer 2 main paths. As you see, we can propose a lift and shift approach. We will quickly move our workloads to the cloud with minimal changes. or we can propose a redesign. So it's a strategic redesign. We will use a modern platform like Kubernetes, serverless, to create more value. So here the goal is simple: migrate smoothly, run with confidence, and then innovate at scale. Vivek?
Thank you, Anis. I think the migration part Anis covered, which is essentially taking your workloads from on-prem and then leveraging some of the Devoteam's expertise to kind of migrate onto Google Cloud. On this slide, what I want to highlight is there are two fast paths for this migration. One is moving to Google Cloud VMware Engine. Now, with Broadcom or with VMware, there's a tooling which is VMware HCX, which can be leveraged to do this migration. There are several options there of doing things like extending your network. So in a lot of customer environments, when I go and talk to customers, essentially, there's a dependency on IP addresses and things like that. And that's where HCX can be leveraged to that migration and also extend your on-prem network. That's one. Second is, and I think I alluded to it before, is with a lot of customers, and probably some of you might be in that boat, is you're looking to move away from Broadcom, and that's where there's an option around moving to native compute, which is Google Compute Engine, and we have a service called Migrate to VM, which can help you replicate the data from on-prem to Google Cloud. And with hybrid subnets, essentially, we let you maintain your IP addresses as well. So this is something which is a unique differentiator. So whether you're running, when you're migrating your on-prem workload to native compute, which is Google Compute Engine, you can also maintain your IP addresses, right? And this is like a big differentiator. And this can also be a modernization journey over time. Let's say from GCV, you want to move on to Google Compute Engine. There also, you can kind of maintain your IP addressing. And the other thing which I want to highlight, again, alluded before, is once you come to Google Cloud, you have this fast, low latency access to all of these services, whether it's Vertex AI, BigQuery. We have customers running on Google Compute Engine or Google Cloud VMware Engine and leveraging all of these services, right? And then on top of that, you have Gemini models. So essentially, once your data and workload is migrated to Google Cloud, you can start using these services to build on the benefits of AI. Anis, over to you.
Thank you. Sorry. Up. So in Devoteam today, we adopt an approach and a methodology based on 4 steps. The first one is the assessment. So here we discover your environment. The second one, the plan and prepare, which allow us to smoothly onboard your workloads in Google Cloud environment by applying the best practices. The third one is migration. And the last one is operation and optimization, which is day 2 phase. So let's go deeply. In the beginning, we start with assessment. So here we collect the maximum amount of informations, such as your business objectives and design documentations. We can also here ask you, for example, RV tools reports. We can also deploy a Google free tool, Google tool that help us to analyze our environment and the dependency of your applications. So this step, it's very important for us to understand your environment. It takes up to 1 month, and it helps us to validate the compatibility of the environment with Google Cloud. The second one is plan and prepare. So in this phase, it's about cloud foundation or landing zone. So here we will apply the best practices and facilitate the onboarding of your workloads. So in this step, we will conduct a lot of workshops We will help you to choose the best migration strategy without service interruption, if possible, of course. And we will deliver the best design and move faster in the implementation by using Terraform as infra as a code tool. Third is the migration. So once the Google Cloud environment is ready, we proceed with the migration. So we will migrate your workloads using the migration tool provided by VMware and Google. So it depends the target. We can use VMware tool, or we can use Google tool proposed in our offer. And this phase consists of multiple migration waves to be sure to secure your migration. So here we will propose three options generally: cold migration, warm migration, or live or hot migration. And in the end, we rely on monitoring, logging, backup tools, of course. So the idea is to maintain your environment and better exploit your data by using, for example, BigQuery. We can also modernize our workloads to serverless, to GKE, to manage a database, etc. Good. So now let's move to real-world success story. So here we will talk about our success story. So Vivek, if you want.
Yes. Thank you, Anis. So this is again a success story, which a joint success story between Google Cloud and Devoteam, customer in retail. So essentially, the customer came to us and they were stuck in an outdated, costly on-premises infrastructure without any DR. So they were looking also to build DR capabilities, but then also they were very heavily invested in VMware, right? So what that meant is they wanted to stay on VMware because they wanted to reuse their team's existing skill set, operational tooling, and backup and DR tool, backup tooling which they had, and that's where Devoteam went ahead and kind of positioned Google Cloud VMware Engine here. And because with GCV, essentially you can kind of it's VMware running on Google Cloud, so you can use your existing tooling for things like backup, and the migration also becomes pretty easy with some of the tooling which is available within the solution. With this customer, we also had Oracle. So it was a case of also integrating Oracle into the overall solution. Now to walk you through what was the exact step around migration architecture, what I'll do is I'll hand it over to Anis.
Thank you, Vivek. So this is the main challenges in this project. The customer has an outdated tech stack, and he wants to set up a disaster recovery and DR plan, because this customer have like a main site, but he didn't have a DR plan or a DR site. And in parallel, this customer concerned about the cost, and at the same time, he really wants to modernize his platform. So there is a lot of challenges. And in this exercise and in this project, we try to propose the best solution and the best approach. So basically, the idea is to move to the cloud without making a big change. So we choose GCV and not GCE because we don't have enough time to refactor the applications. And with GCV, we can improve SLA and set up a disaster recovery quickly across regions. It also helps us to scale much faster than on-prem. And also, we get better performance thanks to improved hardware and configurations. And we can keep costs more predictable. And also finally, the big advantages here is that the team can keep using the same tools and process, so they can innovate without leaving their comfortable zone. So in the end, what's the in this project? We propose we move the main data center to GCV. We move Oracle databases to BMS solution, and we secured the migration by extending the network. So we try to avoid service disruption. And we also defined a rollback strategy. Also, the advantage here that with this solution, we implemented a disaster recovery plan with a backup site. Also, we used a backup and DR solution. It's a native backup solution, Google backup solution. Also, we enabled a quick lift and shift migration, keeping a VMware environment with no major change for the teams. So team don't change the knowledge about VMware, and they can smoothly move to other solutions and smoothly modernize and innovate. So if I resume, the start was VMware environment without DR plan and DR site. And in the end, the target was a GCV solution. The customer is close to Google Cloud ecosystem. The customer can innovate, can modernize smoothly, and it's not a shock for the infra team. They can learn Google Cloud. They can learn Google ecosystem, and they can modernize smoothly. Michel?
Yeah. So I think we have some time, and so we can open for questions. Also, I was thinking, like, if there is interest, and we can maybe do a ad hoc demo, like maybe walk through the service, since we kind of finished a little early. What do you say, Michelle?
For me, I think would be nice. People, if you want to react with a yes or no, if you want a demo.
I mean, it is going to be like on the fly, so things might work or things might not work. But
okay, we get 2 yes, so I think it's a go.
Okay, but before that, should we take any questions? Like, if there are any questions, I see.
Okay, so we have 3 questions on the Q&A. I can ask them first. So the first one we are facing a sudden cost spike with Broadcom licensing, and we renewed 1 year ago with Broadcom. How can Google help us now? And what are the various options available to us?
Okay. Okay, so I'll take it, and Anis, if you want to add anything, maybe you can add to it. And this is something like a lot of our customers, when we go and talk to, they are in a similar situation, right? I mean, whether they because it's the first thing, it's difficult to move away from VMware, right? So I would kind of say that as well, because you've been using this platform for a long time, you have skill sets developed on it, and so it's difficult to kind of move away from it as well. While we have tools and capabilities to do that. Now, if you have, I think, recently renewed, and in a year or so, then essentially you would probably have renewed for 3 years or maybe 5 years. Maybe let's say for 3 years, then I think that gives us enough time to kind of plan the next move. So what I would do is, if I'm in your situation, essentially I would come and talk to Devoteam and Google, and that's where we can come and do assessment of your environment, where we see what are the workloads. We can do a pretty quick assessment with a very fast turnaround, and then essentially we can have a roadmap over next 6 months to 12 months of migrating that workload to, let's say, native, right? Now that's when you want to move away from Broadcom. But then if you want to stay on, let's say, VMware, then yes, we can do a migration to GCV. Now, what are the advantages of doing that is because you're able to reuse your existing investment which you have done in Broadcom licenses. You can bring that investment over to Google Cloud VMware engine and leverage that, right? So that's not, you're not wasting that kind of investment. And at the same time, you are now sitting in an environment where you have access to all of these services. So you can maybe start modernizing over a period of time, or maybe even if not modernize, maybe look at leveraging some of these services. I hope that answers. Yeah.
Thank you, Vivek. Now we have another question from Mustafa. Can Security Command Center be integrated with GCVE to get information about security incidents?
Not today. Not today. So not today. SEC is not today natively integrated onto GCV. GCE, yes, right? So if you are moving on to GCE, then yes. Having said that, we have SecOps, which is around which is integrated into GCV. So if you want to look at alerts, logs, and then do a threat modeling and things like that, then that's where you can leverage SecOps with GCV. Having said that, on the SEC piece, there is work going on, so we would have something at some point. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, the last question that we have here is, you mentioned that integrating VMware workloads with BigQuery and Vertex AI can lead to faster query processing. What does that integration actually looks like? Do we have to refactor our database, or is there a way to bridge the data into Google's AI tool while it still lives in a VM?
Yeah, I think, and that's the beauty of running on let's say Google Cloud Platform. So whether you are on Google Cloud VMware Engine or Google Compute Engine, you get fast access, low latency access to these services, which you can kind of access via private services. So we have something called private service access, private Google access. So you can leverage these functionalities within the Google Cloud Platform, and that gives a capability to your database or your workload, which is running on whether on GCE or GCV, to connect to these services, whether it's BigQuery or Vertex AI directly, right? What that means is that you don't need to kind of change your platform or change the underlying platform. If it's running on GCV, it can reside there. In fact, we had a use. Initially, I talked about a customer ADT. They did the same thing, right? So they migrated everything to GCV, and then they leveraged BigQuery, so their database was still residing on GCV. So that is possible. Yes.
Thank you, Vivek. Anyone else has a question for Vivek or for Anis? Or we can go directly to the demo and then, thank you, Guillaume. So we can go directly to the demo.
Okay. So like I said, it's like a ad hoc demo, right? And what I'm going to do is essentially do a walkthrough on some of the services which we have, maybe around GCV as well. So let's start with GCV, and then we'll talk about some of the other things. So this is Google Cloud VMware Engine. This is where you kind of deploy your private clouds and or your VMware engine. One thing to note is, since today everything is bring your own license, so that means before you get to deploy these private cloud, you'll have to share your license keys with the Google Cloud support team, and that's when we go ahead and kind of reserve that quota and also provide that quota in your project, right? So that's the first thing you'll have to do. But let's say all of that is sorted, you have the license keys, then you come here, and again, this can be done through the GUI like I'm doing here, or it can be done through Terraform. It can be done through APIs, right? So all of this could be automated as well. But the thing is that the first thing which you have to do is you'll have to provide a name of your private cloud. What kind of private cloud you want to deploy? Is it a standard private cloud? Standard private cloud is a minimum 3-node private cloud. Single node private cloud. So we also have single node. So essentially, if you're doing a POC testing, you can do a single node private cloud. And then stretched private cloud. Now, in some of the regions, GCV is deployed across 2 zones. And if you are looking for, let's say, higher resiliency in terms of, let's say, near zero RPO, that's where there is a stretched private cloud where your data gets replicated across these 2 zones and using stretched cluster functionality. And this is where you have a stretched private cloud as well, right? So these are the different options which are available. Let's say we go for a standard private cloud, then we select the region where we want to deploy, which zone. So for example, in Europe S2, it's spread across 2 zones. The other thing I want to highlight is, although even if you deploy GCV within a single zone, you get a SLA of 4 nines there, right? And this is again a differentiator which GCV has versus some of our other competitors, where we can provide a SLA of 4 nines even within a single zone, right? And then you give the name of your primary cluster. Cluster is essentially a collection of nodes within VMware. And then we have different node types which are available, right? And again, selection of node type would depend on the requirement from your side. So whether, how much compute, memory, storage, based on that, you will select a node. All of these have different price points. So you would select, again, I want to highlight is that we have 25 different node types which are available, right? So depending on what kind of price performance you are looking at, you can choose a node type here. Let's say I select this node type, and then the minimum, like I said, has to be 3 nodes. So you select that. Now we also have a storage only node, right? And storage only node is, in a lot of cases when you're sizing, you would see that, let's say with 5 nodes, you are sufficient for your compute and memory, but you need additional storage, right? And that's where there are 2 options, or maybe 3 options. One is you can maybe have, instead of maybe you can have 6 nodes, and that maybe suffices your storage needs, right? But then what you're doing is you're overpaying there, because essentially you're not using that compute and memory. So what you can do is you can have 5 of those nodes, and for any additional storage requirement, you can have storage only nodes, which can be, let's say, 2, 3, whatever number of nodes you need, right? So that's where you can kind of save on cost as well. There are other options as well, like NetApp. You could also use Google Cloud NetApp Volume for any additional storage requirements, both for your, in-guest storage or for your data stores. The other thing you'll have to provide is you'll have to provide a CIDR range for your private cloud. Now, this CIDR range is very important to kind of agree on day one, because whatever CIDR range you provide would determine the number of nodes you can deploy, right? So for example, if you go with a /24, the maximum number of nodes you can deploy is 10, right? If you go for a larger one, then obviously the number of nodes would be more. There's a table detailing all of that, but essentially on day one, you need to understand that, you can't change this later. So you need to understand that, how much would I scale, and based on that, you kind of determine a CIDR range. And this has to be also non-overlapping than an on-prem CIDR range. All the GCV private clouds, they are actually attached to a network called VMware Engine Network. And this is the network which is actually paired with your PPCs, right? And that's where in this walkthrough, you can also kind of create a new network here and then attach it to the private cloud, or you can also kind of create one later as you can also use something which you have pre-created, right?
Just I'd like to add something. Keep in mind that here we need a new CIDR range for the management stack, but the production workloads, we don't need to change the IP addresses. So we are able to maintain the same IP addresses, We also can extend the network. So, for example, during the migration, we can maintain some VMs in the right, some VMs in the left. There is no worries for that. So this kind of options help us to move smoothly with minimum risk.
Thank you. A great point, right? So this is only the CIDR range for your infrastructure. That means your ESXi nodes, your vCenter, all of that will get IP from this. Your workload IP can remain the same, and that is something which is configured within the private cloud. Now, in terms of encrypting the data at rest with vSAN, you have a couple of options. Either you can use a Google managed key, or you can use cloud KMS, where you can own your key and leverage that. The other thing I want to highlight is, don't look at this price. This is like a list price without any discount or anything like that, right? So this should not put you off, is something which I'm trying to say. And then you create, it will take 3 hours or 4 hours to kind of create the private cloud. And once the private cloud is up, you will have it here, right? And this is where you would have let's say the DNS names, IP addresses of the private cloud. Let's say I go into a private cloud. This one is created in Zurich, as the name says, Zurich. You can see the number of nodes which are there in this private cloud, 3 nodes, how much compute memory I have. And then these are essentially the URLs or DNS names for you to kind of log in into your vCenter, NSX, HCX. Now, in order for you to log in into this, you will need some sort of jump server, which is essentially a machine, maybe on Google Cloud, or maybe if you have a connectivity from on-prem, then you would need something on-prem to access your vCenters and all of this, right? The couple of other things I want to highlight here is, on GCV, you also have a capability where you have your workloads which are running on GCV. You can expose them over the internet, right? And that's where what you can do here is you can assign IP addresses to your VMs which are running within GCV, right? And this is what you can see here. So you can come here and reserve certain IP addresses and assign it to a VM which is running on GCV. This is for traffic which is incoming over the internet to these VMs, right? And essentially we are doing a NATing and then sending it to your VM. Apart from that, the other thing which I want to highlight is, at some point of time, obviously there would be, today, VMware Engine is a managed service, right? That means any patches which VMware would release, any security patches, any upgrades, Google will be managing all of that, right? But what we have done is we have provided you this kind of view or console where you can look at any new updates which are kind of coming for your private cloud. That's one. The second thing is you can also schedule updates from here, right? So for example, you select maintenance windows when you want the upgrade to happen. All of that is also possible from here. I think, yeah. Go ahead, Anis.
I'd like just to add something else. Keep in mind that today, if you have a very complicated design, a very complicated infra, for us, there is no issue. We can propose a solution. If you have like a IBM ecosystem, if you have Oracle ecosystems, SAP or others, we have always a solution for that. And in the past, for Oracle workloads, we proposed like a kind of bare metal server. Today, we can move Oracle databases to GCE, to Compute Engine. So for that, there is no problem. And also, if you want to move directly to GCE and not to GCV, it's possible also. We propose a free tool named Migrate for Virtual Machine. It's a free tool proposed by Google. We have a lot of experience on that, and we have customers who move it to GCE. And if you choose to move to GCVE, we use VMware tool, and you don't have to pay for it. It's already included in our offer.
Nice. Thank you, Anis. What I want to now also quickly touch on is, and this is like very hot off the press, released, I think, yesterday or so. And if you go onto your console, if you have a cloud console, you can actually use a quick TCO estimator to kind of look at some of the cost for migrating to, let's say, GCE, right? And this is pretty intuitive. So you can actually come here and click on this. While this is loading up, very intuitive. You can use actually a chat interface to kind of create this estimate or assessment estimate for running from on-prem to GCE. And I created an estimate yesterday. I was just playing around with it, and I'll show it to you. And again, this is like pretty, I'll say pretty cool. This leverages Gemini and everything. Essentially, any numbers you want to tweak here. So, for example, you would give your on-prem scope, how many number of VMs, number of compute, how much vCPU RAM you have, and and then you can select the machine types and all of that. It will also give you on-prem TCO, and then essentially it will create a TCO for you for your GCE, essentially on-prem versus cloud, right? And the good part is you can tweak all of these numbers through a chat here, right? So for example, you want to change your I want to change OS licenses, or I want to change, let's say, VMware licenses costs, right? And then you can just chat to it and then change it here, right? So this kind of makes it easier to kind of create look at a quick TCO, right? And yeah, but just a quick overview of this. So go and maybe try it out. With this, what I'll do is I'll kind of stop. I know this was very ad hoc, not planned, but hopefully I think probably useful. Michelle, do we have any questions? Or yeah, okay, I'll hand it over to you now.
Hi, yes. Sorry, having issues with my camera. Yes, so we are heading to the end of this webinar. I hope this was very helpful. If you have any more questions, you just want to send it through the chat or the Q&A, or just ask them directly. Now is the time. Meanwhile, I'll just go over the next steps. So as I mentioned, we will send the slide deck and the recording so you can review it later. And also, you can contact our team if you have any questions. Here's a QR. Also, we wanted to let you know that we have a free assessment that you can qualify for it, that our team can go over your infrastructure and support you on your next steps. So please contact us on this form to get more information on it. I'll also send this through your email after. Yes, Vivek?
Yeah, correct. On the assessment piece, I want to just maybe drill down a bit, right? I think that is a very critical piece, and I think that's where like Devoteam's expertise that comes onto the forefront, because when you're doing any cloud migration, whether it's on-prem to GCV, GCE, or anything else, one is a quick estimate of TCO, right? I mean, that is probably a fast thing which you can do probably yourself as well. But then I think just looking at those applications, looking at some of the dependencies around network and things like that, OS dependencies, you'll have to also look at what kind of OS you are running, how would you license that on cloud, right? So there are a lot of things there. And that's where I think leveraging Devoteam's expertise, because they've done it like, hundreds of multiple times now. And I think that's where I would encourage you to kind of reach out to us for this assessment piece. And the last thing is we have programs, incentives where we can kind of, which we can leverage to offer this assessment for you, right? And in a lot of cases free, but in a lot of cases as well at discounted rates, right? So please reach out to us to get those details.
Thank you, Vivek. And then I just want to share 3 events that we are having. in different cities. So the first one is the AI Agent Lab. We have gone through 4. We have 5 more to go. So here's also a QR that you can find to join the event closer to your city. The next one is the GCD, our Google Cloud Customer Day. It will be our 5th edition, I think, this year, hosted in 8 cities across EMEA. You can also find more information on this. And lastly, we have our quarterly What's New in Google Workspace for you or your teams to join and discover all the new updates that we have on Google Workspace and Gemini Enterprise. So that's it from us. If you don't have any more questions, please wait for our email. And I hope you had learned something today. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.